It used to be.
Public hearing on May the 12th, 2025, rezoning bylaw 2045-2025, 7 p.m. We have supporting documentation for bylaw 2045-2025 zoning bylaw amendment to amend figure 38 permitted conditional uses in the commercial mixed use zone CMU in the city of Thompson zoning bylaw, adding automotive equipment and vehicle repair and services as permitted use. Public notice has gone out, and tonight is the public hearing on this. I will go to administration.
Yeah, so good evening. We have a developer who has submitted an application to amend our zoning bylaw to, as we say, add the use class definition of automotive equipment and vehicle repair and service to the commercial mixed use zone. This zoning bylaw amendment did go through first reading about a month ago, and it was posted as per the requirements of the Planning Act. Neither the chief building inspector nor I received any feedback or comment regarding this bylaw amendment during the time period. And again, under the zoning bylaw, this public hearing is to hear persons wishing to voice in favor or against this zoning bylaw amendment.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge we have Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick on Zoom this evening, and the rest of us in council and other ones that have sent regards. So, Councilor Valentino, Councilor Anbach. Next, we're going to receive presentations in favor of this change. So would you come up and state your name and whether you're for or against this zoning bylaw amendment for this particular permitted use, and go from there. So you come forward. Anybody that is in favor.
This is price. Well, this is.
Seeing none, anybody that is opposed to this permitted use for this bylaw, please come forward, state your name. Anybody that's opposed, come forward. Seeing none, we'll call for adjournment. Councilor Wong, Councilor Saw, all in favor? We're adjourned. Council to order for May the 5th, 2025 at 7:04 p.m. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 5 territory and the city of Thompson is located on the ancestral lands of Nishnawaysit Cree Nation. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit and Métis people in the spirit of truth, reconciliation and collaboration. Next, I'd like approval of the agenda. Councillor Saab. Councillor Chong, all in favor? Carried. Four is adoption of minutes. 4.1 is the regular meeting of council, April 28, 2025. Resolution 2025-070, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held in Council Chambers, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Monday, April 28, 2025, be adopted as circulated. Administration?
Nothing further.
Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover. Any council comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Four point two is adoption of minutes for committee of the whole, May 5th, 2025. Resolution 2025-071, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of council held in Council Chamber, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Monday, May 5th, 2025, be adopted as circulated. Administration?
Nothing further.
Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover. Any other councillors, comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. We'll into resolutions. Resolution 5.1 is a resolution to approve early capital purchase for fire turnout gear. Resolution 2025-072, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that council approve early capital purchase of the firefighters turnout gear and personal protection equipment for ABC fire and safety equipment for their total quoted price of $74,608.63, all taxes included. And be it further resolved that the funds for the purchase are borne out of the public safety reserve. Administration? Would you like to comment?
No, nothing further to report, other than we have, we're hiring approximately 14 individuals. So they're going to be fitted with the proper leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Oberdorfer is the mover. Comment?
Yeah, I'll definitely be in support of this resolution. As mentioned, we are hiring additional staff, and hopefully more to come after that. And it is necessary for our firefighters and emergency personnel to be safe and be fitted with the proper PPE. I think at committee of the whole, there was a question posed by Councillor Wong just about the procurement process and the fact that there was one quote attached to the memo. If we could just speak to that for the purposes of this meeting, because I don't believe that the committee of the whole was live streamed.
Thank you. I did reach out to 3 different agencies. I reached out to Wholesale Fire, Phoenix Fire, and ABC. ABC was the only one that responded to the thing. But that being said, we are posting on Canoe, so they have access. I just sent each of those individual emails saying it's going to be posted here. You know, they still have access to get off the page.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Chong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will discuss with the fire chief regarding to this purchase. And I understand that the equipment are getting out of date or old. So it's time for us to change something that for the safety and protection of the firefighters. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to point it out, I appreciate the chief explained why it's only one code. I think somehow, maybe it's a new way that is doing it. So I think in the future, we still need to see whoever he approach and whoever rejected. So that way we have more understanding the pricing and who entertain, who not entertain. It's just for the transparency purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors comments? I'll also be supporting this, as I do feel very important that our fire department is up to the standards that we expect them to operate. With that, seeing no more questions, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Five point two is a resolution to authorize administration to enter into the Nickel Days Agreement. Resolution 2025-073, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Wong. Whereas the city of Thompson and Nickel Days have developed a 5-year agreement to formalize the roles and responsibilities of each organization regarding the annual Nickel Days event at the Thompson Regional Community Center. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve entering into the 5-year agreement between the city of Thompson and Nickel Days. Administration?
Yeah, so this would be a 5-year agreement between the two organizations. In financial terms, it would work out to about $26,000 worth of sponsorship. The first project that would be undertaken would be a car lock system at the TRCC. And then eventually the purchase of an LED advertising sign at the corner of Thompson Drive and UCN. Additionally, Nickel Days will have access to the new Aquatic Center's parking lot for Nickel Days events from 2027 onward.
Thank you. Councillor Oberdorfer, is the mover, any comments?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll be supporting this resolution tonight. I think it's great to see that we're continuing our partnership with this organization and that we've come to an agreement with them. Thank you to administration for all of your hard work on the agreement itself and working with the Nickel Days organization to come to determine what the terms are going to be in that agreement. The only comments I have, I guess, in regards to the availability of the parking lot at the new pool, I don't have issues with them having availability of the parking, but it does indicate just in the memo that we're going to be closed for 2 weeks of that month instead of over the summer. And so my only concern, I guess, would be that a lot of times school groups often access our recreational facilities in the month of June. So that might just be something for us to consider, that maybe we look at just closing it perhaps for the weekend for those 4 or 5 days that Nickel Days need it versus the 2-week closure for cleaning and maintenance possibly. But those are my only comments about it. I don't have issues with them having access to the property during that time. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors, comments? I think the idea of closing it at that time was we have to do a regular maintenance. The Norplex pool used to be closed for a time period. So I think they were just figuring this would work in, but we could definitely talk about it. And figure, I see how this works out. No more comments? Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Five point three is a resolution authorizing administration to request provincial approval for an extension on the financial plan deadline. Resolution 2025-074, moved by Councillor Wong, second by Councillor Saul. Whereas subsection 162(1) of the Manitoba Municipal Act requires council to adopt a financial plan for each year. And whereas subsection 162(4) requires a signed copy of the plan to be filled out with the minister by May 15th of that year in a form approved by the minister. And whereas section 304 requires municipality to pass a tax levy bylaw by May 15th and file a copy with the minister by June 15th, 2025. And whereas due to the shortage of staff in the finance department, the timelines will not be able to be met. Now therefore be it resolved that council authorize administration to submit a letter to the Minister of Municipal Relations requesting an extension of the deadline to submit the financial plan from May 15th to June 13th, 2025. Administration.
Nothing further.
Councillor Wong is the mover.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Normally, I don't like to extend our financial plan because of, we already 5 months into the year. And basically, we're already spending the money that we don't even know how much we're going to be allocated for individual project spending, etc., etc. But last year, I will make the comment, I said, I don't like to see this become a normal practice. But again, the deadline's 2 days from now, I think, 3 days from now, I think it's very hard for us to get that over. Again, I'm going to do it one more time to allow this, we'll be supporting this extension. But hopefully next year we don't have to come to this resolution anymore. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Other councillors, comments? Councillor Saul?
Yeah, thank you. I'll be supporting it, but I guess my question is, when it comes to the shortage we've had in the finance department, if we can get some commentary on how that's being addressed. And also if there's going to be any ripple effect when it comes to, say, our audit, so if I can just get some feedback on that.
Anthony?
Sure, yeah, so what's happening in the department is people are bidding into different jobs, so the department will be full. And then within a month or two, the person will bid on another job and move, and that creates a domino effect of having to train people into new positions. That's what we've been experiencing over the last little while. We've just had a new person start again today on another desk. So there's lots of movement within the department, but it's not that the people necessarily know their new jobs. So they have to be trained, and that usually takes several months.
Just follow up, are we gonna have any impact when it comes to our year-end statements or any other thing?
I'll have to get to the CFO for that answer. I couldn't answer you that.
We'll get you an answer.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Oberdorfer?
Madam Mayor, yeah, I just wanted to echo Councillor Wong's comments, just regarding the fact that we've been delayed multiple years in a row, I guess, submitting our financial statements. And I know that Lynn, our CFO, has been working very hard to get us caught up. And we have been having a lot of, I guess, as administration mentioned, movements within the finance department, but it is concerning, and hopefully it is something that we can work out by next year, that we don't have to continue submitting them late.
Thank you. Any other councillor comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. I-4 is a resolution to authorize administration to accept Multi-Creek's offer to settle. Resolution 2025-075, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Wong. Whereas on May 9th, 2016, the city of Thompson entered into a lease with Multi-Creek Systems for a property on Weir Road legally described as Lot 10 and 11, Block 4, Plan 4745. And whereas Multi-Creek was required to pay an annual leasing fee in accordance with the city's annual fee and fine schedule. And whereas Multi-Creek did not make any payments on the land lease after the initial payment for the first year. And whereas on August 28, 2024, the city filed a statement of claim against Multi-Creek in the Court of King's Bench, bearing court file number C1-24-01-48011, which sought payment of $117,138 plus prejudgment interest on account of payments required to be made in the years 2017 to 2023. And whereas the city and Multi-Creek have been engaging in settlement negotiations, and whereas Multi-Creek has offered to settle the demand made in the statement of claim for $70,283, representing 60% of the outstanding balance. And whereas the city management and the new management of Multi-Creek have mutually expressed their desire for a more productive work relationship in the future. And whereas Multi-Creek has now paid 2024 lease fees, which did not form part of the statement of claim in full. Now therefore be it resolved that the city manager and the city's legal counsel be and hereby are directed to accept Multi-Creek's offer to settle of $70,283. The city's legal counsel be and hereby is instructed to take steps necessary to finalize the approved settlement and discontinue the litigation against Multi-Creek. And the city manager be Be and hereby be instructed to write off the remaining accounts receivable in respect to Multi Creek lease obligations for 2017 to 2023 fiscal years. Administration.
Yeah, so I think the resolution speaks to it all, just a couple of points to flag. Multi-Creek, their new ownership is completely paid up on their land lease. And the other comment coming from our legal counsel is that again, by settling it this way, not going to court, you know, there won't be the charges or fees related to that later on. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Councilor Obrador, first the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll be supporting the resolution. Thank you to administration for taking council's direction and coming to a settlement on this. Although the payment that we were receiving through the Court of King's Bench was significant, I think we can all agree that the legal fees that would have accumulated would have been fairly significant if this had have continued in court. So I think that it's a win overall. That the claim will be for 60% of the outstanding balance.
Thank you. Any other councilor comment? Councilor Saw?
Thank you, and I do want to thank administration for the work that they've done on this, and Councilor Dorfer is correct from what I understand that this was the direction given by council to try and find a settlement. I personally will not be supporting this for the simple reason that I think this sends a bad message in the future. I do understand there was a lot of work put in on this, but for us to sell for 60% of the value, I do understand that we would incur increased costs, legal costs, if we were to say, no, we're not agreeing with this. But I balance that off with the principle that we're looking at is we're seeing a company, regardless of the fact that it's changed ownership, there's a debt. And we are now about to write off 40% of that debt. And my question is, and as I'm going through this, is what kind of statement does that send to the public? That we are, just because you have a larger operation, maybe, just because we maybe have some different situation, that we're willing to write off 40% of outstanding debt. I was, just before I came back on council back in October, I firstly saw a process where another organization was not given any sort of option like that and was paid 100%. It had to be 100%. So it sends a mixed message. I think going forward, we need to have the principle of how we operate that, you know what, a debt's a debt. And I think that's an easy thing for people to understand. It's a value I think that we have to have, but once again, I do want to acknowledge administration. This is in no way a criticism of them. They've tried their best on this, but it's hard for me to really support something where we are going to be eating 40% of a debt that really, by all that I've seen, is actually owed to council. I don't think there's any of the city. There's no debate as to whether this is outstanding. It is. I don't want to go away from that. So, thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Councilor Cho?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think I'm going to support this resolution for the simple fact that if some property tax, the owner will be able to pay tax. Can they come forward to the city and ask for a bargain instead of sending the property for tax sale, which is totally unfair to a lot of people. And I don't think Multi-Creek is facing financial difficulties. They are well doing company, and doesn't mean they cannot afford to do this, to pay for this debt that they own. I think I didn't see any reason on there, I will support this resolution.
Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'll be supporting this motion. Councillor Wong and Councillor Saw do make good points. I mean, Multicrate is a, a company in good standing and they're not financially strapped, but at the same time, I don't agree we're spending good money after bad to stay in court with this and, because it's been ongoing now for about a year and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. So, yeah, I'm in favor of the motion as it stands. Thank you.
Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not going to repeat some of my colleague comment, but I think we should stick with the principle, which is I totally shocked when we willing to entertain such of agreement. First of all, they signed the agreement. They know they have to pay for the lease and the fees and fine. And what surprised me is like they didn't pay for so many years, and we didn't even call on them. And we allow them to drag to become over $100,000. By the way, I want to educate some of, not to say educate, I want to point out some of the legal system work. If this issue triggered by them, our legal counsel can be also go to the court and ask the judge to award us the legal fee paid by them. So we are not losing any legal fee if we end up winning. Which is, I'm pretty sure we have a ground to stand on. We're going to win this case. But by discounting because of we're afraid of spending more legal fee, sometimes you got to look at money and principle. If we open a can of worms, now we have a lot of owner in this gallery today. Imagine they will come back and say, look, you allow this, why not me? So I don't want to set this precedent. I would never agree with this kind of precedent because I'm one of the victims as well back in the day. So I got to pay 100% plus interest. I never get a chance to waive any penny. So do you think I will agree with this? Not a chance. I ask for a recorded vote, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Oberdorfer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I understand some of the comments that are being made by some of my fellow councillors, and I do see the points that they're making. This was discussed thoroughly amongst council, and the direction was given to administration, and they followed our direction that we gave them as a council. And I would like to ask administration, because I don't recall the conversation if it came up about the legal fees and our ability to request those be covered through, I guess if we were to win our claim against them, which I don't recall that being we would have been awarded those fees. So we can just talk about that, please.
Yeah, my recollection, Councillor, is that we can ask for the fees, and normally through the court process, you'll be awarded a partial amount of the fee. Doesn't necessarily mean you take the full amount, but you can ask for those costs, and the courts will normally give a partial judgment on those. The specifics, I would never know. That would be up to a judge to make the final decision.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd just like to comment also. I do agree that this money is, was owed to the city. Basically, we didn't do our due diligence and collect in a timely manner. I think that could go against us in court also. Judge might not look very favorably that we hadn't collected. This is a new company coming into town, and we are giving them a break as we have done other new companies or companies that have built in town here. And I do believe that our judgment costs may not all be awarded to us. So I will be supporting this motion. And is there any further comments? Okay, in a recorded vote, all those in favor of this motion. Councillor Oberdorfer, Mayor Smoot. Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick. Opposed? Councillor Wong, Councillor Saw, Councillor Chong. This resolution does not pass. It is carried. 5.5 is a resolution to AMM to lobby the province of Manitoba to streamline the process for addressing derelict buildings in our community. Resolution 2025-076, moved by Councillor Wong, second by Councillor Chong. Whereas derelict buildings are a blight on Manitoba municipalities and constitute a public safety hazard in our communities. And whereas owners of these buildings are non-compliant with municipal bylaws pertaining to property standards and public safety. And whereas the Municipal Act empowers municipalities to enact derelict building bylaws to address such properties that remain hazardous and unremedied. And whereas the process required by the Manitoba Municipal Act are time-consuming and costly to municipalities, resulting in excessive use of staff, enforcement, fire and emergency services, policing services, legal fees with legal proceedings, often lasting multiple years while the public safety hazard persists. Now therefore be it resolved, the AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to work in collaboratively with Manitoba municipalities to streamline the process of addressing derelict buildings in our community to ensure public safety. Administration?
So in the city of Thompson, as well as a number of other municipalities across the province, there's an issue with derelict buildings. The way the legislation is written, it's very difficult to deal with these buildings. It's very time consuming. It uses lots of city resources and it uses up a lot of legal fees. A prime example of that could be we've gone through a derelict building process with 60 Commercial Place, which used to be known as the Head Frame. It's almost been 3 years of a process of trying to make that property safe. And we're still stuck in court with an injunction against us to make that property safe. So the request here through the AMM as part of the annual lobby, whether to be changes to the Municipal Act to make this more straightforward so that we can make this property safe and not expend all these resources and wait for 2, 3, 4 years to come to a resolution on these properties.
Thank you. Councillor Wong is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Normally, I don't like to give more power to the government, but this is a different issue because of I don't like to see my community become a slum, you know, and if owner don't take care of their property or become a hazard or dangerous to the public. I think somewhat we have to have some sort of a way to address the issue. But the only thing I'm wondering, like, what kind of streamline that we are trying to lobby for like this? Can you give some better clear pictures?
I think it would be, if Councillor, it would be streamlining some of the times and the posting, like a number of our processes will take 6 months. If those timelines can be tightened up, the Planning Act was recently changed to hold cities that we have to meet certain timelines very quickly. If the Planning Act says 7 days for this, 14 days for this. Right now, from a lot of our processes, the way it's written in the Municipal Act and in our bylaw, it can take an extensive amount of time to get through some of those hoops. And then there's also lots of loopholes that allow, say the person that we know is the owner to refuse to accept the paperwork. By doing that, they'll then delay the process for another 6 months. So even trying to serve papers on someone, it can turn into a huge issue. So we're looking for different ways, but I think the best way to do this is through AMM is you have a working group with the province. The city of Winnipeg has huge issues with this as well and has a lot of experience. The city of Brandon and a few others. I would imagine that we work together to try to come up with something that works, that protects the property owners who are not negligent, as well as protect the communities who have these issues.
Yeah, I make a
Councillor Wong.
Thank you. Appreciate the explanation. If I hear right, basically we try to lobby for the process, make it easier and faster and more efficient than dragging and dragging. Try to cover, close some of the loophole and things like that. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Other councillors, comments? Councillor Oberdorfer?
Mayor. Yeah, I'll definitely be supporting the resolution. And I have no doubt that when it goes to AMM and also if it makes it to the floor at the fall conference, that it will be supported as well. My question is whether or not we're going to be bringing this forward, I guess, and this is more for a question to Mayor and Council, not administration, to our June district meeting. And whether we're reaching out to any other communities to see if they're willing to sign on, because we know it's an issue across the province. Even though it will likely get support on the floor from the membership of AMM, it would still I think hold a lot of weight if we can get other communities to sign on to be a part of the resolution, that we know are also having these issues. Thank you.
Anthony?
Yeah, so if council passes these three resolutions tonight, they would automatically go to June district. Then they have to be adopted by the North District to be moved on to the annual general meeting of the AMM. With respect to circulating resolutions, any of the resolutions that council passes, I will then circulate to other CAOs in the province through our CAO network and see which communities would like to sign on, and they would then add their names to it. Or if they have a similar bylaw, AMM will usually facilitate review and ask if both communities would be open to merging their separate resolutions.
Thank you. Sorry, just to add to that, for those councillors that were not at AMM Spring Convention, some of these resolutions that are being brought forward were also discussed at the Northern meeting at the Spring AMM Convention. And discussion was had about them coming forward at the June District meeting. And it did sound like a lot of the issues that we're having are kind of in line with other northern communities. So
Any other comments, councillors? Yes, we have tried, for many of our residents in Thompson, we've worked over the last few years trying to clean them up. It takes a huge team to close down and stop it, stop a slum landlord or that. I know many people in this room tonight have definitely worked with us trying to get things like this through. And working with AMM and other communities around the province, I definitely think we'll have some more teeth in the bylaws. With that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Five point six is a resolution for AMM to lobby the province of Manitoba to empower municipalities to hold negligent owners and corporations responsible for unpaid taxes and costs beyond the normal tax sale process. Resolution 2025-077, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Councillor Oberdorfer. Whereas municipalities are seeing property owners that are allowing deterioration of their properties to the point that they are no longer suitable for habitation. And whereas these owners also fall into arrears on their tax account, utility billings, and enforcement costs, which result in the property falling into tax sale process. And whereas these properties are not bid on in tax sale primarily due to their condition, and then they become the ownership of the municipality, which causes considerable time for staff plus costs to demolish and remedy hazards with no recourse to recover costs except through a budgeted process. And whereas these owners can continue to own other properties in the municipality and face no consequences for their allowing deterioration of much needed housing. Now therefore be it resolved that AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to empower municipalities to hold negligent owners and corporations responsible for unpaid taxes and costs beyond the normal tax process. Administration.
Yeah, so this is in similar vein to the last one. This is to do with properties that end up in the tax sale process but are being used as income generating properties and then run into the ground, resulting in them becoming the property of the city. Then the city has to tax all the other taxpayers to pay for their cleanup and to remedy all the hazards that are left behind. And many of the times when this happens, the owners have other properties that they own in the city, but there's no consequence at the end. This resolution isn't meant for people who are in a tax sale process for personal reasons. That's really not it. It's more when it's in a tax sale process through business reasons. The bills have been run up and then abandoned for all the other taxpayers to pay for.
Thank you. Councillor Saw is the mover.
All I can say is that the resolution speaks for itself, but I'll also say that I always think this is just for Thompson. It's just like the other resolution. This is an issue that's not just actually here in Manitoba, it's across the country. We're seeing more and more of this happening. So it speaks towards a growing issue. And I think we will be able to get a lot of other municipalities to also sign on this, so I look forward to seeing the discussions, hearing the discussions at June meeting with this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Other councillors, comments? I too will be supporting this, based on the information that is given here in the resolution. Seeing no more comments, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Five point seven is a resolution for AMM to lobby the province of Manitoba to develop and fund a new program to support forest fire mitigation and protection efforts across the province. Resolution 2025-078, moved by Councillor Saw, second by Councillor Wong. Whereas forest fires present a real and growing danger to the lives and livelihood of all Manitobans. And whereas the changing climate is resulting in massive increases in forest fires across Canada. And whereas these fires have resulted in billions of dollars of losses to residents, businesses, municipalities, First Nations across the country. And whereas these fires often occur in unorganized territory in the province, which do not fall within municipal boundaries. And whereas community fire smart programs, building a fire break and deploying dedicated local based value protected assets to protect communities and critical assets have proven effective in preparing and protecting municipalities from encroachment of forest fires. Now therefore be it resolved that AMM lobby the province of Manitoba to develop and fund a new program to support forest fire mitigation and protection efforts across the province, including the purchase of equipment and training on value protection assets, public fires, smart education, as well as the design and construction of a fire break. And be it further resolved, Manitoba make the necessary legislative changes to allow municipalities to apply to perform fire protection activities on Crown land and within unorganized territory at no cost to the municipality. Sorry, folks. Administration.
Yeah, again, so under the Municipal Act, municipalities are responsible for fighting fires within their municipal boundaries. And they're really dedicated on protecting municipal assets, homes, businesses, those things. They're not set up for fighting forest fires, that's a different service. But what we're seeing across the country and in Manitoba is municipalities are being threatened by fires that are starting outside of the boundaries and coming towards our communities, requiring the municipality to respond, even if the municipality doesn't have all the correct equipment to protect the community, or the training. Neither do the residents have the education on how to respond to these forest fires that encroach from unorganized territory or Crown lands. So the request here would be the province to dedicate a program to allowing for that education, as well as creating fire breaks, as well as value protection, which are basically sprinkler trailer systems, to protect municipalities from the encroachment of fire that's happening outside of its boundaries.
Thank you. Councillor Salas, a mover.
Yeah, thank you. This, like the other two resolutions, I do want to thank administration for all the work that they've put into putting these together. This speaks for itself as well. I think we just have to look in other areas in Northern Manitoba to see what's happening around us. And if anything, the trend line is showing that, as mentioned, this is getting more and more of a risk. And we are seeing some real changes happening around us. So it's time for a much larger discussion on how we're going to deal with this moving forward. I think right now, I'd love to see all municipalities support this going forward. And I think the government, both the provincial and federal governments, need to come together on putting forward a long-term plan of how we're going to do this going forward, because it's not going good. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Wong.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. If I remember correctly, I think we had this fire smart study one time. We do have a document in place, right?
Yeah, the city was the first municipality in the province to adopt a wildfire mitigation plan. Though some of the things required to do the work in the plan require trailers from the province to come up from, say, Brandon. Right, so it's not as, some of the equipment that's needed for that plan is not owned by the municipality.
Okay, may I continue, Madam? Yeah, so I believe that, that document, for the new fire chief, maybe, another thing to, on your list to do, to look into it. I understand some of the process, some of the, thing might be not feasible for a small town like us to do that. Maybe just pick those, we can accomplish. And maybe follow up those kind of thing, and at least we can try to be proactive. Besides, we go to lobby for the province. In the meantime, we can also do our own thing on our own.
Anthony?
Yeah, so the fire chiefs actually met with the province and they've reviewed the plans, so it's being updated already, so that's already been done. And you'll see in the budget process that our safety and our municipal emergency coordinators bringing forward a value protection trailer for council's consideration. So there is already active work being brought forward for council to look at. Say the town of Gillum has a value protection trailer, but Manitoba Hydro bought it. So they have that provincial funding to purchase it, whereas we don't have access to those funds.
Well, we have a big hydro yard here, maybe we can lobby that as well, right?
Council wants to
Just
direct
saying,
you.
just saying, anyway, appreciate that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Overberg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll definitely be supporting the resolution, and I look forward to it going forward at AMM Fall Convention. Which hopefully it makes it that far through the resolution process through AMM, which I imagine it will. As we know, forest fires are becoming more and more an issue, and earlier in the year it seems to be. And we've had quite a bit of devastation nationwide, not just in Manitoba, but I mean, right now, a lot of our northern neighbors are really struggling with forest fires. And we're really fortunate that that hasn't been us in Thompson, but that doesn't mean that it won't be one day. So definitely having funding to back up that program and those fire smart plans is certainly needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I too was aware of the chief's some of the early meetings he's having. I'm wondering if you want to comment you guys.
No, it's just a matter of updating and keeping, meeting with our stakeholders on a regular basis, know who's who and where we go, equipment, that sort of thing. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, the plan itself is pretty generic, but it's people in place that are the real strength. So it's important.
Thank you. Seeing no further comment, call for the question, all those in favor? Carried. We're now moving into bylaws. Bylaw 6.1 is first reading of bylaw 2048-2025. Repealing bylaw for bylaw 2047-2025, being organization and procedural bylaw amendment. Administration.
This is.
First, I should read the bylaw. Just sorry. Resolution 2025-079, moved by Councillor Wong, second by Councillor Chong. Be resolved that bylaw 2048-2025 being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to repeal bylaw 2047-2025 being the organization and procedure bylaw of the city of Thompson be introduced and read a first time. Anthony, sorry about that.
Yeah, so this is rescinding bylaw or repealing bylaw for the new organ procedure bylaw. It's been submitted by Councillor Long, so the administration prepared it, and it is on the docket tonight for first reading.
Thank you. Councillor Wong is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not gonna repeat what I did last time when the resolution, the bylaw coming forward for approval. I just want to say something tonight, Madam Mayor. Actions speak for louder than words. Today you can see the audience. You normally don't see that. When the bylaw approved, I had several people approach me privately and say, this is not right. So it inspired me to do this. Now, I personally, I don't like to do this. all the time. But when I see something is not right, I think under the power that the government given to me as an elected official, this is the one of the tools that I can use is a motion to rescind, which is mean ask for my colleague to reconsider the decision they made. So which is I did. And also, I think this is something that we don't want to continue the way that the ideology about the censorship. I'm okay with the new thing, which is some of my colleagues introduced, which is the town hall. I love that idea. But the thing is, the time frame is too long. For instance, let's say some public have a concern about the winter snow clearing issue. They're not going to wait till summer to address it. It's too late. We can use a town hall to issue some bigger issue that we can get them together and ask them what they think and what they thought. This is the venue for them to come out without any fear, without any roadblock. They can easily come out and ask a question. And normally we don't answer right away anyway if we don't have answer for them. But to me, it's not right to take away that opportunity for the public. I understand one of the logic some of my colleagues said because hardly anybody show up and ask. I believe they don't want to show up when the thing is okay. But now they feel that their right been taken away, been threatened. That's why they all show up tonight. It's hard for me to always fight for this kind of thing. And tonight, I'd like to take this opportunity. And also, at that time, I have two colleagues that are sitting on the fence. They say either or, they don't mind, they don't care. So I hope they are putting the money where the mouth is tonight to join me to have a unanimous consent to appeal this and show the public they care as well. And I think that will be my first statement for now. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Charles?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to say that for the public, they have the right to know, the right to participate. That is the duty for our city to tell them what's going on, what happened. So the only way we can connect between the public and the council or the mayor is through either contact here or either come forward to the city hall and make some comments. Then we understand what is the issue, what is the problem, right? So the reason that elected here as a councillor is a channel for them to connect between councillor, mayor, and administration to know what are the issues, what is going on, how to improve our city, how to make our city better. Because we are living in this place here, we are concerning about safety, we're concerning about the road situation of the pothole, situation of the snow removal, all those things, they have to connect with us. Without the public come here and tell us and what is in their mind. Because it's better for them to come forward here rather than in the social media. Right? They cannot get the answer. So a lot of social media, those called the Facebook warrior. This person jump in, that person jump in, make the whole thing all in a mess. So I'm very appreciate tonight, and so many people turn out here. I know they like. We give them the chance to participate. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, so I was one of the counselors that was on the fence. One of my biggest reasons is I feel that we're really failing to reach our constituents. And I think we need to figure out how we can do that better. I don't think the town hall is the only answer. I just want to say that I think that the way that Councillor Long approached this is very disrespectful to administration. I was on the fence at that meeting. I did ask administration, how do we go about having that put back into the bylaw? And administration proposed an option for us to amend the bylaw and have that put back in. Councillor Wong at that time could have requested that amendment and given the option for those of us that were on the fence to provide support to his request versus just declining the bylaw moving forward altogether. That did not happen. So I feel a little bit like it's a bit of a show to not have put forward that amendment at that time and now to be repealing the bylaw. I will support it because it's clear that's important to people, but I think that we could have done it in a more respectful manner to administration, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Shaw?
Well, thank you. And I'm glad to hear those comments as well. I do want to acknowledge, Councilor Wong for bringing this forward. I also acknowledge the people that came forward because it's important. When things are important to the public, it's good to see them come out. I've just been back on council since October, and there's been a number of things that I've seen that I can say I'm proud of this council and the administration for their accomplishments. I will say though that even having this brought forward was one of the things that I was very disappointed about. Because I looked at the different elements of why this was even brought forward in the first place. And I do understand that, we talked about those 4 early forms. But we have said back then, even when it was passed last time, to have this taken out, that this was not a mutually exclusive option. We could have held these forums, but we could have also kept the community feedback in. For some reason, it was felt that was not appropriate and was taken out, but I'm glad to hear that we're starting to see that, yes, we can do both. I think it's great to have the quality forums. Back in the early 2000s, we had that, and we had some good feedback. But we also had our question period. And at that time, as I mentioned before, we had at the end of the meeting versus the start of the meeting. I'd like to see it go back to the end of the meeting. I think it's more impactful. And as I said before as well, it serves different purposes. As mentioned by Councillor Wong, that, there are some things that are going to come forward that people really want to talk about like right now and not wait for 2-3 months. And I do understand there are options, you can come forward as a delegation, but not everyone is comfortable doing that. The question period or the community feedback was the one thing that I saw that made it a lot easier for people to be engaged, and that's why I valued it. Even though it may not have been used as much as some would hope for, at least it was there, and it's hard to take things away from people that already have it. So I think it's important that we do bring this back. I also was concerned about the timing of it as well. I mean, I know there's some members of council that have been on this for 6-7 years. I wasn't too sure why this came up at the time it did, June, our discussion a couple of months ago. So if this was really an important thing, it was an issue, then I would thought it would, come up before. As mentioned in that last meeting, the bylaw we had before allowed for full control by council. If there was anything that was going a little on the wavy side, so we already had those controls in place. So there really was no reason for what I could see to have it taken out in the first place. And I will point to one thing, because it came up at the final reading, when one of our council members pointed to where, this is not held as much around in Manitoba, that there's less and less or very few municipalities to do that. And I will say again that I don't really care about what the rest of the province is doing, it's what we're doing up north here. Question period has been around for a long time, it's part of our history. And I only have to point towards the school district of Mystery Lake, by the way, that has question period still in their meetings. So, I'm glad to see that we have a chance to bring this back in. I think it's important. And it's, it's the right thing to do. So, I will be, going to support this as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I just want to say again that I think it's unfortunate, that Councillor Saul and Councillor Wong, did not put forward to have this amended at the time when the option was presented. And I also just want to point out that, I do think that question period would be a lot more productive than having comments at the beginning of the meeting. That would allow people to ask questions about things that were actually discussed at the meeting versus just asking about the topics that are on the list on the agenda. But again, when that came up at committee of the whole, I think that would have been better to be a suggestion to have that added in at that time, instead of waiting until the second and third reading, to bring up the question period and to kind of discuss your experience and that idea about question period, because a lot of us weren't around on council when question period happened. So it would have been nice for that to come up sooner, I think. But I do think that that would be a much more productive option than having, comments at the beginning of council meetings.
Thank you. Councillor Wong?
Madam Mayor, well, I do appreciate that, Council Bidoff willing to support my motion. But I do want to point it out. At that time, my intent was just to defeat the item, which is the second reading. At that time, when you say, is there any other way to amend? By the way, it's not my duty to advise you. The duty to advise you what to do when you have a question or you don't know what to do is administration. He could have just said, you know what, are you talking about, or the mayor to tell you, are you willing to amend this? It's their duty, not my duty to tell you what to do. So that part I want to make it clear. So when you ask, when you're stuck with the situation, this is why they're here for, to give you the advice, the legal advice or the administration or the municipal act advice, not me. So I do appreciate that you're willing to join me today. And I apologize that the misunderstanding that you thought I could have do that. My intent wasn't want to amend, I want to cut it off. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Saul, did you have your hand up again?
Yes, I just want to clarify, I do appreciate the comments. I know I sound a bit like a dinosaur at times when I say about, we did stuff this way back then. I did mention at that last meeting that, I think it would have been better served to have it at the end because it said that's what I was used to, so I did say that. In regards to how we go about doing it, I think we're all on the same page now, and I don't want us to lose that fact. I think we all value that we want to have as much engagement as possible. In fact, even if you look at the AMM booklet, it talks about how we better engage the community as a whole. So at the end of the day, it's great to see that I think we're all gravitating towards that, and that it does speak volumes for the nature of this council. I think we are about trying to, have a big net approach. So I appreciate that. I appreciate when people are willing to say, you know what, we're going to look at that. I think that's extremely important, and I value that. So I thank you for those comments. But yeah, I'm glad to hear this discussion is unfolding. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillors? Councillor Bidoff?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak a third time. I just wanted to clarify that I did not ask Councillor Wong what the administrative process was at that meeting. The argument that Councillor Wong was making at that meeting was that we should not be removing the community comments and feedback. And so I requested administration because I knew that we could amend it to provide us with the process so that Councillor Wong would know that there was an option for him to request it to be amended. So I just wanted to clarify that I do understand it's not councillor's job, other councillors' jobs to explain to me how the administration process works. Thank you.
Thank you. For everybody's, please don't make my comments. Basically, we've been a council that has tried different things, has tried new things. Basically, we weren't having anybody at question or at the beginning making comments. Or if we did, it was one person, it was questions that could have been made to the administration ahead of time and that we could have answered at council. Anytime somebody has a question, they can come to any one of us and we'll have them at council. Not one of you folks in this group has actually reached out to me and said, I want to keep community comments. I've had people in uptown saying they're glad that the Monty Python show is over. So we have gone, I basically have gone with what people, we now have the owl, you can come to the meetings, I'm great, I wish every meeting we had the crowd that we had here tonight. Definitely, we are all open to comments, whether it be councillors, myself, most of us have our cell phones on that. I know when there's something goes wrong or people aren't happy, you all know how to get a hold of me. Nobody has a problem with that. So the fact that we've taken away a 5-minute thing on city council does not change the fact that you cannot come to us at any given time and share what you need. With that, I will just leave it and we'll call for the question. All those in favor of Councillor Wong's resolution to rescind the motion, show of hands. Opposed? Motion passes. We will go to second reading. Point 2 is first reading of bylaw 2049-2025, open air burning bylaw amendment. Resolution 2025-080, moved by Councillor Sauce, second by Councillor Oberdorfer. Be it resolved that bylaw 2049-2025, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend bylaw 1809-2009, being a bylaw to regulate open air burning within the limits of the city of Thompson, be introduced and read a first time. Administration.
Yeah, well, obviously, we all know what's going on in the province right now with the wildfires, forest fires. So the province of Manitoba, they're really able to enact the burning bans, provincial parks, municipalities that don't have anything in place. But it makes our process a little bit more seamless if we need to enforce the burning ban. So that's what this is all about. It gives me the authority to, in times of, conditions are too dry, we've got a high fire hazard. It allows me to enforce a local emergency burning ban. And I think right now, I guess, just what's going on in the rest of the province is better to be prepared. It's not. So that's basically, that's what it boils down to. And it allows us to control our own destiny, so to speak. If we have high fire incidences like today, even though we have wet conditions, we have grass fires doing into the schools. So it's important that all these fires are not made by lightning, or some of them are human hand events. So it's important that we kind of look at protecting our city as a whole. Some point if we do have a incident, we're all going to be affected, not just. That's what this is all. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think it's important to know, this is where a reminder for fire pit permits, for that. And even I appreciate owning a small campground, having the authority, the fire department now. We as ourselves being surrounded by bush, put in a ban when it gets dry that people can't have their fire above the fire pit, or sometimes they can't have a fire at all. I really appreciate the authority now that the fire chief has, that we will be able to back him when we say that we can't have fires when it's very dry. So thank you. With that, go to Councillor Saw as the mover.
No, I have anything to add. I think the chief said everything that needs to be said, so I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Any other councillors' comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Chief. Six point three is second reading of bylaw 2045-2025, zoning bylaw amended for Quick Loop. Resolution 2025-081, moved by Councillor Saw, seconded by Councillor Oberdorfer. Be it resolved that bylaw 2045-2025 being a bylaw of the City of Thompson to amend bylaw 1891-2012 as amended, being the City of Thompson zoning bylaw, which will amend figure 38 permitted conditional use in commercial mixed use zone in the City of Thompson zoning bylaw by adding automotive equipment and vehicle repair and service as a permitted use, be given a second reading. Administration. Lyle?
Yeah, good evening again. Yeah, as per the Planning Act, we've done a first reading, we've had a public hearing. The property was posted, notice is distributed. Neither the Chief Building Inspector nor I had any comments or feedback provided to us during that comment period. And at the public hearing tonight, we had 0 parties speak in favor and 0 parties speak against. So right now, we're bringing this forward for a second reading.
Thank you. Councillor Saw, as a mover?
No, I have nothing there, thank you.
Any other councillors' comments? Councillor Wong?
I just want to make sure this, if I understand correctly, so now all this under the map with the black circle, which is all the zoning fall into this same category. But at any time when those owners want to apply the specific business, they have to come forward for asking a permission.
No, sorry. To respond, no, if this zoning bylaw amendment goes through tonight, Councillor, any business operating in those commercial mixed use zone, which is the black areas as per indicated on the map, they will not have to come forward at all. This will be permitted activity in that zone, if this goes through.
So it's permanent there now, it will be permanent into the zoning bylaw.
That's correct.
Until there's a change or somebody brings forward more changes.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Well, 6.4 is the third reading of bylaw 2045-2025, and being a third reading, it will be a recorded vote. Resolution 2025-082, moved by Councillor Oberdorfer, second by Councillor Wong. Be it resolved that bylaw 2045-2025 be given third and final reading and that it do now pass. Administration?
Nothing further.
Councillor Oberdorfer?
Nothing further, thank you.
Seeing no comments, call for the question and a recorded vote. All those in favor? Councillor Wong, Councillor Saw, Councillor Oberdorfer, Councillor Chong, Deputy Mayor Fitzpatrick, Mayor Smoot. It is passed. Councillor Wong, Councillor Oberdorfer, all in favor?
Had a point, Doc. We're bringing it up.
And I ain't worried. I believe the last time I stood before the council, I asked them how I could afford to die here. Since then, I died twice, but I'm still here. Well, I have, I died twice, I'm still here. So I was quite surprised to hear what was going on here with the right to